strength is relative. See? I mean, I'm I'm a 54-year-old, slightly overweight man who does not work out. I am as weak as they come compared to other men. Hmm? Conor McGregor, I always say Conor McGregor could kick my ass, right? Against a 5-year-old, I'm all kinds of strong. Yeah, sure, of course I am. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm like a giant to a 5-year-old. But to another man, probably at the same age as me, who's in just better shape and works out even just a little bit, I'm a weakling. You see, strength is relative. Hmm? Now, the avowed aim of this war, of this proxy war, an avowed aim that has been repeated and reiterated and articulated multiple times by Anthony Blinken, by Lloyd Austin, by Kirby over at the Pentagon. What they have all saying is the whole point of this proxy war is to weaken Russia. That's the point of it. And the weird thing is that it's done the exact opposite. It's done the exact opposite, okay? It has not merely made Russia stronger, which it has. It's shown Russia's enemies to be much weaker than expected. Now, how has Russia gotten stronger? Well, the sanctions. The sanctions were it. The sanctions will, in later years, people in Russia will thank the gods and the stars that they were sanctioned as relentlessly and mercilessly as they were by Europe and the United States. Because by being sanctioned like this, by taking the hit, they have removed a threat because the threat has already been carried out. The threat was sanctions. Sanctions that will destroy your economy. And that always makes you scared. But when the threat is actually carried out and you survive, you realize, holy cow, I'm a lot more resilient than I thought. And that's why I always recommend take the hit. If you are ever in a position where you are threatened and, do this or else, some X thing will happen to you that's really, really bad, better to do the X thing because you will discover that you are remarkably resilient. And whatever X is, whatever threat that is, short of a literal mortal threat, you'll survive it and you'll get stronger because of it. And that's exactly what happened to the Russian economy. They got sanctioned out of their minds and they survived. And the ruble crashed momentarily during the month of March. But then April, May, it's doing gangbusters. It's actually stronger against the dollar and the euro than ever before. And people can say that, the Russian central bank is propping it up. Well, what? You think that the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, they don't prop up their currencies? Huh? They all prop up their currencies. But there is a difference between propping it up a little bit and really keeping it afloat. No central bank can keep their currency afloat. Only the market can. And the market has said, the Russian ruble is solid. And that's that. The market has spoken, see? And the ruble is strong, and therefore these sanctions turned out to be pointless. And now that the threat has passed, the Russians are realizing, hey, we can get by fine without all this iPhones and BMWs and stuff. After all, we've got food, we've got gas, we've got oil. And they don't have it. The Europeans don't have it. Anyway, the point. See, that showed to the Russians how strong they are, how strong they really are. And paradoxically, all these sanctions hurt the European economies. The European economies, they're having inflation, they're having negative growth. The German industry is collapsing as we speak. I mean, I can hear all of the German industry collapsing from here. It's just collapsing all over the place, showing Europe to be weaker. And insofar as the military is concerned, I mean, we got to understand what has happened here, The Russians deployed 190,000 troops in the Ukrainian theater, in the special military operation, as they called it. 190,000 troops, and it wasn't all of their combat troops. And NATO all of a sudden discovered that, it doesn't actually have the men to match the Russians. Well, that's true. They have 40,000 men in a rapid deployment force. But beyond that, they really don't have the army to match what the Russians have. And the Russians didn't even deploy all of their army, just a piece of it. They have an army of 1.25 million soldiers. And combat troops, I do believe it's something like 700,000. It could be wrong, but that's not important. It's just a lot bigger than the Europeans, see? And so here's the issue, see? The Russians are proving to be economically a lot more powerful, and now they have become much more powerful vis-a-vis Europe as Europe slowly slides down, and also as the United States slowly slides down. The Russians are a lot stronger economically, and they're a lot stronger militarily. And the most important thing is that the Russians are much stronger on the level of the people. And this, I think, is the most important factor. The Russian people, not only are they behind their leadership, not only do they approve of what the leadership of Russia has done, but they are united. And they feel that Europe and the West has carried out a very violent divorce with them. And that has brought the Russian people closer together, and it has focused them on the West and made them realize that the West is no friend of theirs. Whereas the people in the West are divided by social issues, by economic issues, by political issues of various sorts. The people in the West are exhausted, and let's face facts, they are decadent and degenerate. The people in the West, in Europe, the United States and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, they're weak. They're weakling losers. And their countries are collapsing around them, and they don't have the strength of will, the moral strength of character to repair their own countries, to straighten up and fly right. And that's the truth. And the Russian people, perhaps they're not able to articulate it, but they sense it. Because we always sense when the guy across from us is weak, is a loser, is falling apart. And that's what's happening. Ultimately, this is a test of peoples, not of nations or militaries or economies. And the Russian people are winning. And because of this whole conflict, they're getting stronger by the day, just as the West is getting weaker by the minute.